Anxiety is one of the struggles that's most reported by students. A lot of students become so worried about their schoolwork that they can't perform. And anxiety can look very different in different students, and it can manifest itself in ways that we don't often think of as anxiety. For example, getting angry and aggressive, or struggling to let other people speak and always having to say things, or not saying anything at all and having a blank look on their face, procrastinating or avoiding tests, perfectionists who are hard on themselves for not getting perfect grades, or full-blown panic attacks where students are struggling to breathe. These are all examples of anxiety that show up in a lot of ways that are unrecognized in a schooling environment. Most things we hear about anxiety relate to the ways that people with this diagnosis are different than others. We hear about the signs and symptoms and how devastating it can be to cope with this mental health struggle. The problem with this approach is that kids and teenagers usually respond in one of two ways. Either they don't want to admit that they're struggling because it makes them different from their peers, and so they can't engage in self-reflection, or they assume that having anxiety means they're absolutely hopeless and will never be able to do anything. Instead, we want to help them see that anxiety falls on a spectrum, and most people experience anxiety at some point throughout their lives. And that if they're experiencing anxiety, there are ways they can help themselves through it. Anxiety is a survival response, and in general, it's quite normal and helpful. Anxiety is what tells us to look both ways before crossing a street, or to get out of a situation that might be dangerous for us. What happens when anxiety becomes a problem is that our mind starts thinking that our emotions are dangerous, and starts treating our emotions as if they were a life-threatening emergency. And our mind becomes fixated on trying to fix the problem and make those feelings go away, which is why we can become obsessed with worrying about what we could have done differently or what we should do in the future. We're trying to get rid of our emotions by finding the reason why we feel a certain way and fixing it. Going through something really scary or intense also increases anxiety, because then our mind has further proof that our emotions really are the enemy. The thing we want to focus on is to help students soothe their emotions in the moment. It can be really tempting to try to reason with students if they're acting irrationally, or to try to help them fix the problem that they're facing. But actually, when a student is in an anxious reaction, they're not going to be able to think through things clearly or rationally. It's much more effective to leave the problem out of it for the moment and focus purely on the emotion and how they can soothe that emotion. So you can say things like, "What can help you calm down right now?" And then we can come back and it'll be easy for us to talk about this situation. Do you want to go to the bathroom for a few minutes and take some long, slow, deep breaths? Taking 10 breaths to a slow in count of 5 and a slow out count of 5 really helps soothe their whole nervous system down. Or we can suggest that they write in their journal about their emotion for a few minutes. Or for the younger students, that they draw a picture of their feeling. Anything that helps them relate directly to what they're feeling rather than what they're thinking about their feeling actually helps the emotion pass much more quickly. We want to be their coach, not their rescuer. If we fix the problem for them, they won't learn the skill of how to respond supportively to their own emotions. But if we help them with this process of soothing and connecting directly with what they're feeling, that's what means they're prepared to face any future challenges, both in the classroom and outside of it.